So hello there. Thank you everyone for joining. Before we actually take a look on how to scan your APIs using Kiuwan, I would like to make a quick recap on the Kiuwan architecture. Remember that Kiuwan is a two-part platform in which on one side, we have the so-called Kiuwan local analyzer, which is basically an agent. It's a Java application that you can deploy at your developers level machines or in your servers as a service, if that's the case, or you can deploy it at your vendor's level. And what the local analyzer does is that it will perform the scan of the source code of your applications, and it will upload the results and only the results to the second part of Kiuwan, which is the portal engine, where you will see all the results of the scan. This is going to guarantee that the source code, your intellectual property, is never leaving your premises, is secured, and Kiuwan will only upload the results, and you don't have to upload the source code of your applications anywhere in the cloud. So let's take a look on how we can perform an analysis of your APIs and how to install the local analyzer and see the results in the portal engine. Whenever you will get access to a Kiuwan account, you will be provided and provisioned with a pair of credentials. From our official website, you will go to login page, and then you will have to enter your credentials. Once we log in, this is what we will see in the web console. We have the 5 components of Kiuwan. We have code security, code analysis, insights, lifecycle, and governance. So the first thing that you would like to do is to download the local analyzer. You click on your name on the top right corner, and then you click on download Kiuwan local analyzer. Basically, what this does is that it will just download a zip file to your machine, and then we can go ahead and open that file, unzip the file, and we will run the file that contains that information. So let me show you here. When I unzip the local analyzer, you will find this this file that you will execute, and it will run the graphical interface of the local analyzer. So while I do that, you see the local analyzer starting, and then I can just click on let's go. I will authenticate with the same credentials that I used in the web console, and when we are there, we are ready to scan our API. So as you can see here, the local analyzer has retrieved the information that I have in the web console. These are the applications that I have previously scanned in Kiuwan. You see, it brought all of them, the ones that I have here on the left. But now I will scan a new API. So I will just call this, I will give this a name, a new name, and I will tell Kiuwan where is the folder in which the source code file of my application is located. So let's go to here. Actually, let's find it here. Have some vulnerable APIs in here. So I will go ahead and scan this API, which I have called the flights API. And I will call this, I will give a name to my application. Let's find the folder once again. And then I just tell Kiuwan that this is going to be a baseline analysis. I will and then I click on continue. And then I can select the model that I will be using for scanning this application. Basically, I have created a model which includes all the Python rules that the Kiuwan engine has. So I know that this API is developed in Python. So I will select this model for this particular application. I click on OK. I select that this is going to be a baseline analysis, and then I click on continue. Kiuwan is going to ask me that this application was not found. If I want to create it, I will click on yes. And then we just need to wait for the analysis to start running. So Kiuwan is asking me which are the modules that I'm going to use in order to scan this API. So I'll use code security, code analysis, and insights. Click on analyze. You will see when Kiuwan will tell me that the results are ready, we will see here a green check. And then I will just, I will refresh in the browser to make sure that the results are visible in the web console. So please pay attention to this left panel. You will see here that a new application will be appearing afterwards when the scan will be completed. The name of the application is the Flights API, and we will see the results that Kiuwan will present after the scan. So it has been completed. We are ready to see the results. I could go ahead and click here, view results, and then this will take me to the browser. However, I'm using here an incognito session for the webinar purposes. But anyways, you can see here that I have my Flights API, code security. I will load all the analysis. And then you see here, it has the analysis that I just ran now, and the one that says that is the label that I have said before. So in the summary page, Kiuwan will break down all the vulnerabilities into a chart according to the severity of them. So we have 12 very high, 4 high, and then Kiuwan is giving a rating to my application, to my API. In this case, because I have 12 very high uncovered issues in security, Kiuwan is giving me 1 star, and it's telling me here on this chart the amount of hours that I will need to invest in order to reach a higher security rating. So here Kiuwan has identified the lines of code that my API has, the useful lines of code, how many files were scanned, and the amount of vulnerabilities. And in these histograms, he's telling me the top 10 vulnerabilities by type, and also which are the worst files. So in this case, this file is the worst one because it has the most vulnerabilities. In here, there is a timeline. If I perform another scan, it will show me how over time the scan is performing. And of course, as I mentioned before, this API is developed in Python, and this is the only language that Kiuwan was able to detect, of course. Then if I want a detail on the vulnerabilities that were uncovered for this particular API, you will see that Kiuwan is also giving is breaking down this into different categories. So we have vulnerabilities which are related to injection, to misconfiguration, and to encryption. If we want more details on any of the vulnerabilities, Kiuwan is presenting this list in which, for instance, in this one, Kiuwan is detecting that we should be avoiding SQL code form with non-neutralized user input, because this is prone to SQL injection attacks. If I want more details on which files was this detected, I can just go ahead and click here. And here Kiuwan is showing me, okay, this was placed in this file, which is under this path. The files are named the same, but there are different files because you can see here that they are located under different paths. If you want more details on the lines of code in which this was uncovered or detected, you see here that in this particular file, we have the issue uncovered in line 157, 60, and 92. If I want more details on that, this is the line of code in which the vulnerability was uncovered. If I want more details and all the references to this particular vulnerability that was triggered by a rule of Kiuwan, can just click here on this question mark icon, and we have all the description and remediation, CWEs, normatives that are referenced for this. And well, we have as well a sample of how this violation appears and triggers the rule and how to fix it. Remember that this fixed code over here is not your code, but it's just a sample code that perhaps for your developers will mean something relevant, and they will understand how to fix the piece of code that was uncovered to be vulnerable. Then we have also the possibility to see the propagation path for these particular ones. So if I click here on the stack, you will see that this has a propagation path on these files, these other files. And then I can also take a look at the action plans, which are the things to do or the things to fix. So from all the things that were uncovered, you can pick some of them up, and then you can assign them to some of your developers. So here is telling Kiuwan that you need 20 hours, more or less. This is based on the experience of our developers. Kiuwan is telling you, okay, you need to spend 20 hours in order to resolve all of these vulnerabilities. And then you can, of course, go ahead and create an action plan for that. You can create the action plan from scratch, or you can use our what if tool. So the what if tool is presenting you with these couple of scenarios. The one, which is the current one that appears after running this particular baseline scan. And you can simulate with the what if tool. For instance, if you only have, I don't know, 10 hours for the next sprint in order to invest in security, you can say, okay, what happens if I invest 10 hours? What will happen? So Kiuwan will tell you, okay, according to that, if you only have 10 hours, you can have a new scenario after this simulation in which you can decrease to 0 or can remove all of the very high vulnerabilities, and then you can leave only 3 of them. So these are the things that were selected. This is the things to do, the task that you would like to assign to some of your developers. So you can go ahead and save this action plan, and we can just API flights API action plan. So we can put here whatever information, next sprint, things to do. And then you can assign it to some of your developers. This is the only user that I have in my account, so I'll assign it to myself. And then you can give also a deadline for this particular action plan. I will say, I will give a full month for this to be resolved. I click on save. When you save the action plan, you can go ahead and export these as well to different formats, PDF, CSV. If you have a Jira workspace, you can also integrate with Jira, and all of the items in the action plan will be exported to a Jira workspace in which you can, for instance, say that for every defect or vulnerability, a new ticket will be created. And if you use Jira among your developers, you can assign those tickets accordingly. Similar as in code security, we also have the analysis in code analysis. So you will see here, I will load the scan, the latest one. And Kiuwan is giving us here a different metrics, which are based on the 5 components of the ISO 25000 model, which are efficiency, maintainability, portability, reliability, and security. So this means that this is the quality part of Kiuwan. Code security is the SaaS part. Code analysis is the quality part. So in here, again, there is a summary which has different indicators, which are the risk index. The lower the value of the risk index, the better. Then the global indicator. In every of the metrics or the pillars of the model, you can select a target. By default, Kiuwan will assign a target of 90 in every of the metrics. And then the scan will tell you, okay, in each of these metrics, what I found. So the global indicator currently is 62, which is not bad. If we take into account that the target is 90, we see that nothing was found in the metrics of maintainability and security itself. But let's see here the results of the defects that were uncovered on this part. So most of them are from maintainability and security. There are a few of them. And therefore here, for instance, for security, it appears this this one again, the two files in which this was uncovered. And once again, we can see the lines of code in which this was detected. For maintainability, you see here that it's telling you, okay, avoid capturing generic exceptions. We can go and have the details on what is this about. If you need some information, you can click here. Remember, we will tell you all the description, code, reference, violation code, and a sample on how to fix it. So it's very similar as in the code security part. And then you can also, of course, have action plans which are related to quality. So I can create a new action plan with what if. The difference with code security is that in here, the simulation can be done by effort, how much time or hours you want to spend in each of the metrics or characteristics, or which is the target that you want to reach in each of them. So you can see that efficiency and portability are 100. So they're fine, but security we have 0 and maintainability 0.21. So perhaps you in security want to reach 70, let's say, or 90. Sorry, 90. And therefore you want to simulate what you need to do in order to work on that. So afterwards, you see that security will be fixed completely. And perhaps I also want to improve this one to 90 to see what happens. Let's simulate that one. So in that case, you see the risk index will be 0, which is ideal and optimal. And then it's telling me, okay, these are the things that you need to work in security and maintainability in order to reach that. I can save this action plan. And similarly, as in code security, this plan can be assigned to some of your developers and exported to Jira or any other format. Then let me see if I, so nothing was detected in the insights component, which means that this particular API is not using any third-party or open source component. So what I can do now, or what I would like to do, is to run another scan for another API that I have here that I will call the IDs validator API. So I can just go ahead and find a new folder. I click on open, and I will give the same label to this particular API. Once we are ready, we click on the continue button to start the scan. Once again, let's see how long it's going to take for this particular API. And now we will focus on the different vulnerabilities that will be uncovered here. And most likely this API is using some third-party components that will be detected by Kiuwan, and we can take a look at it. So while it runs, remember, on this left panel, you will see the applications that are being scanned by Kiuwan. You see this one appeared right now because I have run the scan and it's completed already. So I can just go and refresh my browser, and actually I can just click here and exit. I will go to the IDs validator API, load the results of the analysis, and you will see that this one is pretty much fine. It only has one very high and one normal vulnerability. Although I did something on purpose in here, and is that I didn't select the model but I can take a look on what I have done. So every scan, every baseline analysis has a log, and I can take a look here, which was the model that I've been using on this particular application. Let me take a look here. So, okay. The model that I have been using, you can look at it in the application management. And if I click here, model, it was the CQM. So I made a mistake. I selected the model that I was not expecting to use. So what I will do is that I will open a new, once again, the local analyzer, and I will run the same scan, but I will be using a different model. I did this on purpose just to show you that according to the models, Kiuwan will present different results. And it happens because, as I mentioned before, I created a model with all the Python rules, and the CQN model includes Python rules, but not all of them. So let's take a look. I will look once again. So I will run another scan with the ID validator API, but this time I will click on the advanced component, and I will say I don't want to use this model, but the Python one that I created, because it includes all the Python rules, and I know this API is also developed in Python. Click on OK. I will give another baseline label, another baseline label, which would be API webinar using Python model. And let's take a look at it again. Let's analyze all of it once again. And let's pay attention here to the results. You will see here now that I will have a second analysis over here, and it will bring the label that I just set in the local analyzer. And we will see that different things were uncovered this time. So let's wait for the local analyzer to finish. It's almost done. The insights component is also running its scan. And then let's see. Okay, here's the things to be ready. We'll just refresh the page. And now we can go ahead and load all the analysis that we have done in this application. You will see here that I have 2 of them. Look, the previous one in which I used the CQM model, and this one in which I use the Python model. If I go to the summary page, it will show me now that with the Python model, these things were uncovered, same as in the other one, but the difference most likely will be noticed in the code analysis component. So in here, we only have these 2 particular vulnerabilities. Let's take a look at them in detail. So Kiuwan is able to tell me that this particular API is vulnerable and prone to be a target for a denial of service attempt or attack. And also there is some issue with the cryptographic attacks on this particular API. If you want more details, there is the file in which was uncovered, the line of code that has the issue, same as in this other file. And also, as we did before, we have all the description of the problem, how to remediate the problem, some samples and references on how to fix the code. And then if we take a look at the code analysis component, here you will see the biggest difference. So if I load all the analysis, before with the CQM model, it gave me really few things uncovered, only in the maintainability and reliability and security, only 2 of them. But with the new model, with the new baseline analysis, we got more things, right? So we have now 97 maintainability, 10 reliability, 2 security, 1 efficiency. If I go to the defects page, we can see here that there are defects related to security, maintainability, telling me that there are too high number of statements in a method. If I want to know what happened there. So in 3 files and different lines here, this is a statement which is not okay. You can take a look at the details on that and then see how to fix it, how to make our APIs more secure. So as you could see, Kiuwan is not storing the source code files of your APIs anywhere, but only uploading the results and presenting the line of code in which some things were uncovered, right? And well, for this particular API, I'm sure that I have some third-party components. So you can see here that I'm using 29 components, which currently have no risk associated with it. But the Kiuwan in the insights component is showing you the obsolescence of every component. So it's telling me, for instance, hey, here you are using this component. It's an open source component from Python, and it appears that it's out of date because Kiuwan is able to tell you, look, I can show you all the versions that this particular open source component has, and the one that you are using in your API is the one from 2019. It's the version 1.71, and you should be using the 2.3.0. So it's telling you, okay, this is the used version, this is the last version. There are 7 releases in between. So my advice is for you to upgrade and use the latest version of that component. Similarly, you can also check if any of these components is using some particular licenses. And in here, you can make sure that everything is properly licensed and you are using things which are, let's say, legal from a license perspective. So basically, this is what we have from the insights on the 3 components that we saw on this demo: code security, code analysis, and insights. You have the possibility to download or export the reports, for instance, of the vulnerabilities or the summary page. How you do that? In the case of the vulnerabilities, you will just click here on the stack icon, and you can export this file to a CSV format, or also export it to a threadfix format for JSON, to have a JSON format of the vulnerabilities that were uncovered. And also in the summary page, you can have a PDF. And if we download that, you will see how the summary appears. Let's take a look at it. So this is how the report appears for this particular application. And then also, if you would like to go to the code analysis, you have the same possibility. Can export a CSV. In the summary page, you will have also a report. Let's take a look at that. And then, well, this is how the reports look like. Same for insights. If you would like to have a look at the reports that you can have there. The components part, you can see here, you can export to a PDF, and it will just show you all the components that were detected in your application, your API. And that's it. So thank you very much for attending, and see you next time. Cheers.